Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you we're moving right from the cheaters to the AL Central. We're going to be talking about the record-breaking Chicago White Sox with a record of 41 and 121 losses. They now hold the record for the most losses in a season that spans 162 games. Previously held by the 1962 New York Mets, they took it over from the 1899 Cleveland Spiders. Though they lost 134 games, they only played 154 games. Neither one are records you want to hold, but if there's anyone that's going to do it, it's the 2025 Chicago White Sox. They're going to be able to break it. I believe in you. Now, as much as we want to keep dogging on this team, there are a few more statistics I want to talk about that just go to show how bad this team was. Now, with only 41 wins, that is in perspective less than how many games they were behind both in the division and the wild card. They were 50 and a half games back in the division and 45 games behind in the wild card. That is truly amazing and literally an all-time low. Now, as much as we want to keep dogging on this team, as much as we can dog on this team, there were a few bright spots. As faint as they were, there were a few. So we're going to go ahead and talk about, first of all, the team leaders. Keeping in mind there were only two that hit the 502 plate appearance threshold, both being Andrew Benintendi and Mr. Andrew Vaughn. So the Andrews are really coming through strong for them. The Andrew with the most team stat leads was Vaughn. He led the team in at-bats, batting average, slugging, on-base plus slugging, hits, runs, and total bases, while Andrew Benintendi led the team in home runs. Gavin Sheets led the team in walks and on-base percentage, while Mr. Nicky Lopez led the team in triples. Luis Robert from back in the day, he led the team in stolen bases and strikeouts. Now, I want to talk about Andrew Benintendi first. Just recently, he did have a pitch hit him in spring training, and it did a non-displaced fracture, or he broke some bones in his hand. Says it's not require surgery, and being the ball player he is, he says he's going to be back before the start of the year. Don't think that's going to happen because this is a 4 to 6 week recovery process. I'm sure he will do everything he can to get back out there, but if he's smart to extend his already illustrious career, if that's what you want to call it, he'll just sit out of a few more games, a few more weeks, because I don't think the White Sox are going to challenge for anything this year. The next person I want to talk about in this lineup is Luis Robert. This man is so frustrating. He has obviously been playing NCAA football 25 for the last 5 years with wear and tear fully on and injury and toughness at 0, because this man has only played 100 plus games in his career twice. He's been playing 5 years. Yes, we're going to count COVID because it helps our counting stats and it helps prove our point, but he only had like 54, 55 games that season, but it's still under 100. But the thing is, when he hit the second season of 100 games, it was barely 100. Like, it was right at 100. He's played in 145 games, and that was his best year. He did very well on the base pass. He hit some home runs, had a good number of RBIs, but he is a walking IL stint waiting to happen. In 2020, we had COVID, so that was a shortened season already, but again, it still counts towards our numbers. 2021, a month into the season, he had a torn hip flexor, kept him out for the rest of the year. In 2022 and 2023, he had 6 IL stints each, and in 2024, he missed 62 games, again because of injury. Now, when on the field and healthy, Luis Robert is a 5-tool player, no questions asked. However, the best ability is availability, and he has not been available. However, as of recent, the availability of him for the White Sox has improved because he now does not want to be traded or has not been pushing for a trade. He's saying if it happens, it happens. It's out of his control. Sir, it absolutely is not out of your control. If you have asked for a trade, then they are probably going to try to trade you because you're nothing but a diva and, again, a walking IL stint. But I digress. He also mentioned being smarter and playing smarter for 2025. When asked to expand on that, he said that he would know when to play smarter because he would know when to run harder and when in a situation in a game to push a little bit harder. Sir, you have been one of the top 40 prospects in 2018, 2019, and 2020, as high as 3. You have been one of the top 5 prospects for the White Sox in as many years as that. And also, you have been in the league for 5 years. This is something you should already know, especially being 27 years old. I think you should have already known when to push a little harder, and when to run a little harder. Now, I say that from my opinion, but I'm also not the one finishing out a 6-year, $50 million contract with options for 2026 and 2027. Now, I'm going to end my rant and step on my soapbox, and we're going to move to another very young prospect in the Chicago White Sox organization, Colson Montgomery. Now, I do want to say a history of 300 hitting shortstops for the White Sox is a thing of past, not of present, and a one-punch knockout away because Tim Anderson has not been with them for several years. And after being knocked out by a J-Ram, he was not the same. But Colson Montgomery is absolutely not going to be a 300 hitter. He has barely hit above 250 in minor leagues and has struggled to a 214 average, if that, in AAA. Now, at this point in time in spring training, there are only 2 other guys taking reps at shortstop, and one of those guys has absolutely no experience in the MLB level. The other guy has 182 batting average. That's not good. Okay, so Colson Montgomery is going to have the longest leash of any rookie this year in major leagues. Now, for the sake of the White Sox, I hope Montgomery does well, but I also hope Miguel Vargas does well, who is another highly touted prospect for a very different team and had much higher aspirations and potential previously with the Dodgers than now with the White Sox. But Vargas is most well known for the 2023 spring training game, where Zach Greinke just wanted to toy with him. Knowing that he could not swing the bat, Vargas had a fracture in his pinky, so he just needed to look at pitches. So being the jokester that Zach Greinke was, toyed with him a little bit, eventually striking him out. But that was pretty funny. That might be where you know Miguel Vargas from. Also because he has a very derpy looking picture in Yahoo and on ESPN, but that's beside the point. Now, Miguel Vargas is slotted in as the current third baseman, but can play second and outfield. So if they have someone else who can play third better or second better, he can move into the outfield. However, outfield does look a little better for them. Up to this point, Miguel Vargas has only hit 175 in his major league career. However, there was a 30-plus game span where he was with the Dodgers in 2024 where he hit 240. So that's good. The other thing is he had almost as many walks as he did RBIs. He had 9 RBIs and 8 walks. So he could potentially have himself a case to get on base if he has a good enough eye or continues that. Now, as he got into the worst lineup, probably wanted to do more, so his strikeouts did spike. As his walks only doubled, his strikeouts like tripled. But Miguel Vargas still has a lot of time left. Youngster in the organization, maybe he'll get better. As you talk about getting better and transition to the pitching staff, that is absolutely not what's going to be happening for them. They lost their 3 top pitchers in the offseason, Garrett Crochet, Chris Flexen. When was the last time Chris Flexen was one of the top pitchers? When he was with the Mariners a few years ago? And Eric Fetty. All 3, again, led the team in all the categories except for holds and saves. But you know what? I don't think we're going to even hit on holds and saves because the bullpen here, literally no one I've heard of. Okay, maybe I've heard of like one person, but we're not even going to talk about them. We're just going to get to the rotation, as unsexy as it is. However, there are a few bright spots that may come into this rotation. The third or fourth best pitcher, I don't know if you really consider Chris Flexen one of their better pitchers because he had led the team in losses and earned runs, but I digress. Jonathan Cannon did have 5 wins, pitching to 124 innings. He did also have 91 strikeouts, but he did have a 4.5 ERA and a 1.3 whip. So not sexy, but on a bad team, that's not the worst thing in the world, okay? Now, Jonathan Cannon will likely end up being the second pitcher in this rotation behind newly acquired ace Martin Perez, who is absolutely still living on his success from 2022 where he won 12 games. He also did have a sub-3 ERA, so that wasn't terrible. But at 6'9", Nick Schultz is their top prospect and draws comparisons to Randy Johnson strictly because of his height, not because he actually has dominating stuff at this point in time. He has not been fully acclimated to the major league level, but he does have a non-roster invite to spring training, so they obviously want to see what he has. Hagen Smith, on the other hand, is not 6'9", he's only 6'3", but he's already had Tommy John surgery in his junior year of high school. Then he came back to set the Texas Prep School League record, or at least tie it, with 7 no-hitters, so I think the Tommy John worked out. These two very well could make a statement here in spring training and earn a start or two maybe later in the season, but the team wants to hold these guys and keep control of them for the foreseeable future because if they're good, they don't want to lose a year just because they're going to lose another 120 games. This team lost top pitchers. This team lost some of the guys who led their team in stats last year, but they did bring in a few people who are older. They're not sexy, but they could give stability. They could give advice. They're going to give experience. I don't know how good that experience is. Now, the experience you're talking about comes from Joey Gallo, Mike Tauchman, in any way, shape, or form. Not going to talk about the bullpen. Probably don't want to look at anyone in their pitching rotation. Andrew Vaughn might be the only guy you want to look at on this team. I mean, I hate to say that, and I hate to sound so harsh, but it's the reality of the subject. That's going to do it for the 5th place team here in the AL Central. We're going to move into Minnesota tomorrow. Talk about the Twins. I think they're going to do very well this upcoming year. I'm super excited about my boy Royce Lewis being healthy and being on the field for more than 40 games. This is J Cake, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.